welcome to Emma's Vegan Eating, and today we are going to make cinnamon roll wreaths. If you're just interested in making cinnamon rolls, that's cool too. You can follow the basic instructions and we'll cross that bridge. But for now we need the dough. And this is gonna sound crazy, but trust me, we're gonna make pizza dough. And this recipe is the same recipe that I used to make the calzone dough. So this should look familiar if you've been watching. If you haven't been watching, that's cool too, because we're just going to start from the scratch. So you need 4 cups of flour and a half teaspoon of salt in your bowl. I actually measured out the salt this time. Don't tell anyone, they're not going to believe you anyway. Okay, and in the meantime, we need 1 package of yeast and a half teaspoon of sugar that I've already put into the bowl, and 1 3/4 cup of warm water. Stir all that together. Make it nice and yeasty. Okay. Then we'll let the yeast prove by putting this nice, lovely tea towel over it. And give it like 3 or 4 minutes just so it can get all foamy and shit. Alright? Cool. Okay. So, our yeast water looks nice and yeasty. So we're gonna pour that all up in there and mix this shit together. Like I've said before, I know that a lot of people who make bread like to use wooden spoons. I don't, because the dough really sticks to that and that makes me crazy. But you do you, whatever works. As long as you're happy with what you're doing. I'm gonna need more water. Maybe an apron too. Alright, so I'm gonna add some more water. Scrape the dry dough off my spoon. Oh yeah. So one thing I think is interesting about my new lifestyle is that I have bought the second 5-pound bag of flour this week. Not the second 5 pound of flour this week, but I bought a second one this week. And I think that's just hilarious because I would make a 2-pound bag of flour last me months. It's pretty, I don't know, this March. I just think it's funny how some things change that you don't even think about. Like the fact that you now buy flour in 5-pound increments. But there are worse things, right? Alright. Now, I like to have a little bit of flour on my hand so it doesn't stick when I start kneading it. It's going to anyway, but you can try at least. You can take it out of the bowl if you want, if you're more comfortable with that, but you don't need to go crazy on it. You just want to knead it until it's a nice, like, round ball. Sorry, a smooth round ball, whatever. In ball form. How many times can I say the word ball in like a minute? Alright. Now I'm gonna take some olive oil and just put enough over the top that when you like roll it all around, it'll get nice and covered. So you don't want it like doused in oil, but you want it so that it won't stick to the bowl and it won't stick to the tea towel when it rises. I've ruined so many towels over that. I don't want you to go through the same thing. So just make sure it's nice and covered and it won't stick. Alright? Something like that. It's a nice ball-y amount of dough. And then your oven should be preheated to 170. And you're going to slap that in there for about an hour, hour and a half for it to rise. Okay, so now we got to work on our filling. So we need 2 tablespoons of sugar. And 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Among other things that I bought giant things of is cinnamon. This is a big ass fucking bottle. Okay. Anyway, so you're gonna mix all that together until it's a nice, you know what the inside of a cinnamon roll looks like. Cool. So your mixing should look like that. Nice brown sugar, cinnamon, and regular sugar mixture. The recipe said that you should mix your butter with that. I'm just gonna put the butter on the dough and then sprinkle that on top because what they're saying just sounds like a terrible mess and I'm not about it. You do need to flour your surface so that when you roll it all out, it's not going to stick to everything because nobody wants that. Now look at that beautiful risen dough. Isn't that great? Isn't that gorgeous? Alright, you're going to punch it down. Get all the gases out. It's going to stick to your hand, so put some flour on your hand. Oh, it's so pretty. And you're just going to roll it out onto your nicely floured surface. Then you're going to want more flour so that when you roll it out, it won't stick to the rolling pin either. Now, just like we made the calzones, you don't have to have it like super thin because you're not making sugar cookies. But you want it thick enough that it'll like, be substance, I don't know, substance, whatever. But you also don't want it to be like super thick. Alright. So pretty. Recipe called for 4 tablespoons of somewhat softened butter. Just gonna kind of spread that around. It can be a little goopy because that's just how it'll bake, but you don't want to not try to spread it around a little bit, The dough is gonna be a little bit warm too, so that'll help spread it around. Okay. Okay, so your butter should be nice and evenly spread around your beautifully laid out dough. It's so pretty. Okay. Now you're going to take your nice cinnamon mixture and you're going to spread it all around. So in one recipe, they say that it should look like rough, shitty sand. This feels like rough, shitty sand. I kind of want to make a sandcastle out of it. Is that weird? It's kind of weird. Okay. Now you're going to roll it up long ways. And make it as tight as you can without making yourself crazy. Okay, so if you're making cinnamon rolls and not the wreath, you're going to just do some slices and then put them in a pan. I'd use a pan with like a lid, like a 9x13 baking pan, and cook it at like 350 for like 25-30 minutes. And you got some rolls, and then you can skip forward to the part where we make icing. But if you're for the long haul and you're going to make the wreaths with me, then we are going to slice this down the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing has to be perfect, but you do want to try to keep it as like even as you can, because otherwise you're going to have some lopsided wreaths, which will be the end of the world, but it might not look as nice as you want it to, you know? All right. And then you're going to open that up. Okay. We are going to do an awkward braiding of it. So you're just going to roll it around each other like you were told to braid a little girl's hair and you've never braided before, but you've seen the done picture of it, so you have a vague idea of what it's supposed to look like. I want you to do that with bread. Cool. And now we're just going to bring it together and kind of twist the ends together so it makes a circle. And now we're going to somehow move this from the counter to a cooking sheet. But we'll figure that out. We got this. Okay, so I'm using this giant pizza pan and I'm putting foil on it because it has these holes in it, and you'd think that would make it so it wouldn't stick, but that's not the case. And I don't feel like fucking with that, so I'm putting foil down. And now I'm going to use any ounce of magic I have in my body to get this over here. Next time I do this, I'm going to put foil down before I roll it out. Learn experiences, am I right? Okay, yeah. That looks nice. Nice and cinnamony and wreathy. Yeah? Yeah, okay. So, I did it. Magic. Okay, so we're going to cook this for 35 minutes until it's nice and golden brown, and hopefully it'll look even prettier. So again, 350 for 35 minutes. Okay, so we've taken them out of the oven after 35 minutes at 350, and they look like this. Is that not beautiful? Would you not want to eat this? I mean, hello, it's gorgeous. So now I have to make icing. Okay, so we need a cup of powdered sugar, two tablespoons of milk. As I've said before, I prefer cashew milk over almond milk or coconut milk. Which I like coconut milk a lot, and oat milk. I just don't buy almond milk because it's so bad for the environment. So cashew milk is where it's at. It's still creamy. It's still kind of sweet, but not too sweet. I like it a lot. Oat milk, coconut milk, those both work really well too. And then you also need half a teaspoon of vanilla. So half teaspoon of vanilla. And then you're going to stir that shit together. I use a whisk. You could use a fork or a mixer if you are fancy. And then your mix should look something like that. You know what cinnamon roll icing should look like. I'm not going to put it on now because I'm going to give this as a gift, and I want them to be able to heat it up or whatever, and reheated icing is weird and not good. But that's how you make a cinnamon roll wreath, or cinnamon rolls, and cinnamon roll icing. How many times can I say cinnamon roll in one sitting? Anyway, so thank you for watching.